All right, well, first I want to say thank you all so much for coming. It means the world that you all are here. I have people from college here, UCSB. I have people from volleyball here. I have the stuttering community here, and I have my friends here, and it's just so amazing to be in community with all of you. As you see, we do have a merch table, and all of the funds that you buy with at the merch table will go towards supporting my podcast, which I fund everything. We don't really get any funding. I put all my money into it, so it means a lot to if you can help support us by buying merch, because that will help ensure that this podcast goes on and on and on. We can keep spreading awareness about stuttering. And so I wanted to introduce our first guest speaker, who I am a huge fan of, and I am so excited that she is here. She is literally the stuttering queen, and I just love her so much. And so I want to introduce Nina G, comedian, Bay Area based. So Nina G, take it away.
Yeah, does this work? Yes? Hello, everyone. How are you?
Great.
Give it up for Maya and this great event and her stunning crowd. This is very exciting because this is International Stuttering Awareness Day. They only give us one, which is October 22nd. So you are all very honored to be in our presence. And that's what I always ask for. On October 22nd, I always ask all my fluent friends, where are my gifts? And I didn't get any, but Maya has each and every one of you. So that's very nice of you all to come out and give her that gift. I'm still waiting on mine. So I am the San Francisco Bay Area's only female stuttering stand-up comic. Woo!
Woo!
Thank you. I couldn't get the validation here. I wasn't sure where I was going to get it. So thank you. Thank God. There's this weird thing that happens when you stutter or you have any other kind of disability, and that is as soon as someone meets you, they suddenly have a PhD in the thing you have. Thank you. Oh my God, this is not flame retardant. So that I almost lit up International Stuttering Awareness Day. So thank you, Bailey, for having my ass, literally. Thank you. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about my own journey into stuttering and stand-up. I started to stutter when I was 7. And I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm from Alameda, and I'm now in Oakland. And I was brought up on stand-up comedy. I absolutely loved it since I was a kid. When all the other girls in my class had crushes on New Kids on the Block, because I'm that old. I'm probably the oldest one in here. Maybe not. I know, you protected me and then I called you old. I'm so sorry. No, and so when all the little girls had crushes on the rock stars, I had crushes on stand-up comics. So it was just a love that I had very, very early. And that love eventually turned into wanting to be a stand-up comic. And I would write notes and like jokes in a notebook. And then I would look up all the open mics in the Bay Area. And I would see which ones allowed minors, because I was in high school, but I was determined to get up on stage. And in fact, once I called this bar in Oakland, and I asked if they allowed minors, to which the bartender, when I asked him that, he yelled out to the rest of the bar, "This bitch wants to be Eddie Murphy!" And I hung up the phone scared because he knew the truth. The bitch really did want to be Eddie Murphy. So he was right. But my dream of being a stand-up comic eventually died, and it wasn't because of my jokes, because my jokes were really, really awful. And it wasn't because of the bartender at this bar. It was because I'm a person who stuttered. And I never saw anybody like me do stand-up comedy in the 1990s. So I never thought that could be a job option. My love of comedy never died. I went on and I did other things, but that dream was definitely gone. Then I attended a conference in 2009 with the National Stuttering Association, and you have their pamphlets all around you. A lot of dudes on those pamphlets, but that's okay. We're not going to talk about that. We actually will, but not now. So, right? That's part of the fucking problem. Oh, I can't swear here. That's part of the problem is a lot of dudes. Okay. So I went to this conference, and it was 500 people who talked like me. It was 500 people who had the same experiences I did. And it just changed my outlook. And there is a theory by Joseph Sheehan that says that stuttering is like an iceberg. That what you all see is us trying to get out the words. You see us blocking, you see us having repetitions. But that's not the entire story. The rest of the story, if this is the iceberg, is beneath the water. And those are the feelings that are associated with stuttering. And for people who, in Sheehan's theory, he said that these included denial and shame and guilt and isolation. These were all things I had experienced, including hopelessness. I oftentimes felt guilty about having to put somebody through my stutter. There were often times where I held things in because I didn't want to put my stutter onto someone else. And when I had myself reflected back at the conference, that's where I was able to see who I wanted to be and start to make those changes. It was especially important for me to see women, because in the ratio of men to women, if there's 4 people who stutter, 3 are going to be men, 1's going to be a woman. So we're outnumbered in that way. And seeing women who stutter at the conference and being around them, I realized how much space I relinquished over to other people. It was that guilt part of the iceberg. And when I was there, I realized that, when you stutter, you are interrupted constantly, like all the time. I'll be trying to get out of, and people just start yelling, pizza, pumpernickel, pumpkin. Just wait, it's gonna happen. Just have to wait. And at the conference, I realized that I was holding back, and that it's not only that I get interrupted, but I was interrupting myself. And I was interrupting myself in talking to others, talking to loved ones, talking to coworkers, talking, and also my dreams and my hopes and things that I felt that I deserved. All of that had become interrupted because of the internalized stigma related to my stutter. So when I stepped off the plane back in Oakland, I saw my iceberg in a different way. Because icebergs are a lot like clouds in the sky. That if you lay down and you watch the clouds, one cloud might look like a scary dragon, but as it passes and your perspective changes, it could look like a cute bunny rabbit. And my perspective of my iceberg changed. Where there was denial, there was acceptance. Where there was hopelessness, there was hope. And where there was guilt, there was forgiveness to myself and to others, because that others part is also important. And most of all, where there was isolation, there was community. It was because of a community of people who stuttered that I was able to change my life. And when I stepped off the plane, I started to make those changes. The first one was to break up with my then boyfriend of 10 years. And what I realized was how much I was holding back in the relationship and not getting my needs met. And then once that was done, that took 4 or 5 months. The month after that, I started to stand up because I was like, what do I want to do? What is the thing that I always wanted to do that my stuttering or it's not that my stuttering stopped me, it's my ideas and my own internalized stigma of stuttering kept me from doing comedy. And that's when I got up on stage for the first time over in Union Square, and I did my first open mic, and then I did my second and my third, and it's been almost 12 years. I performed all around San Francisco, in sports basements and laundromats here. And I love it. It's the thing that I love the most, and I'm very fortunate to have it. And it's because of that community being reflected back to me. It is because the community has given me strength. And also, a big part of that is that women held up a mirror to what I could do. And that's why Maya's podcast is so important, because that it's going to hold up a mirror to what people experience every day, and especially women who stutter, because we are very isolated. I call us stuttering unicorns because we're so rare, and when we meet, it's very, very special. And I get into that more in the book, and there's my book over there. I donated some, so fuck it. Can I say fuck again? I can't. Effing buy the book, okay? Sorry. See, I get up on stage and I want to say the F word. Which is why I love comedy. So that's right, your mom's watching. Mom, I'm sorry. So the thing is that we are interrupted all the time, and what we need to do individually, whether you stutter or not, and as a community, we need to disrupt the interruption, and that's exactly what Stutter Proud is going to do. So thank you. Sorry for swearing.
All right. Well, can we get another round of applause for Nina G?
Woo!
How amazing is she? So this is the first time meeting her in person, and I can just say we're probably bonded for life now, whether she likes it or not. So very excited to have her. So now I'm ready to introduce our second guest speaker, Bailey Levis. He is a person who stutters, and he's also a speech therapist. Everyone give a round of applause to Bailey.
Woo!
Thanks, Maya. Thanks, Nina. I actually might be the oldest person here, and that's totally okay. I'm totally cool with that. So my name's Bailey Levis. I am a person who stutters and a speech therapist, working pretty much exclusively with people who stutter. I thought that I would share a little bit about my personal story. I'm very happy to. Like a lot of us, I could talk about myself all night long. But actually what I wanted to do is maybe a little trivia night. I brought some prizes. I thought maybe do a little stuttering trivia. And if you want to hear more about my stuttering journey and about how beer and chemistry and stuttering are all related, come find me later. Okay, so trivia prizes.
Woo.
Yeah. I've got my notes, otherwise I will forget all the trivia questions. Actually, I do. Okay, my first question. Who here stutters?
Woo!
Oh, all right, two of you guys. You get prizes.
Yay!
Let's see if I can make this all the way back there. Almost. All right. Okay, famous people who stutter. Who can name? Joe Biden. Excellent. Anyone else? Yep, Churchill. Where's Churchill?
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. I don't know, did you get two, Maya? Who said Bruce Willis? Way back there. How about a pen for you, Maya, since you've already got a bracelet? King George. Yep, King George the 5th or 6th. I don't remember.
Mel Tillis.
That's right, Mel Tillis. You guys all know who Mel Tillis was? Is that you?
That was me.
Yeah, way back there. Oh, stuck in the plane. Yeah, Mel Tillis. Who else? Anyone know any other famous people who stutter? Other actors? Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, let's see, what else? What percentage of the adult population stutters?
1%.
1%. Ray, who said 1%? Nice.
Someone listened to my podcast.
There'll be some other questions about the podcast coming up. 1%. So in San Francisco, that's about 8,000 people. That's kind of a lot of people. So I'm really grateful, Maya, that you're doing this podcast and spreading the word and helping to build this community, and I think it's really great. All right, so 1%, about 8,000 people in San Francisco. What other things do I have on here? All right, true or false? Was Moses believed to have been a stutterer, a person who stutters?
True.
True, correct.
Nice.
Did you guys know that Moses was thought to have been someone who stutters? Yeah. So there's a part in the I guess the Bible, the Torah, where God comes down and he's talking to Moses right through the burning bush, and he asks Moses to go talk to the Pharaoh, and Moses says no 3 times. Why does he say no 3 times? Anybody? Because he stutters. Okay. Let's see, what else do we got here? Okay, so in Maya's podcast today, there's one word that she talked about having a hard time with that she had changed out. Boyfriend. Nice. Who said boyfriend? All right, Ian, you get another one.
Nice.
And what did she change it to? Instead of boyfriend? Partner, nice. Which, is, of course, also politically correct. This chair in San Francisco. All right, is stuttering caused by being nervous or anxious? True or false? No, that's right. But people who stutter do stutter more when they're nervous or anxious. Yeah, I don't want to poke anyone's eyes out. Okay, let's see. Maybe we'll just do a couple more because I know that we have a little bit of a time crunch. Let's see. True or false? People stutter because they think faster than they speak.
False.
False. Okay, Greg. Two falses. Yeah. What do you need? Do you need another pen?
Yeah.
Great. So anyhow, I could go on and on. I could talk all night about myself, about stuttering. I've been, my journey with stuttering started 20 some odd years ago, and it's certainly been the most challenging thing that I have experienced in my life, and the most difficult thing. And I'm so grateful that I have found this profession as a speech therapist, working with people who stutter. So I feel like, again, one of the really wonderful things is being able to make that shift. To shift from the shame and the guilt and the fear and the hopelessness, and turn that into strength and courage and resilience. So that's one of the things I love about this field and about people who stutter, is their strength and courage and resilience. So thank you all for being here. Maya, thanks for doing this podcast and spreading the word about stuttering, and looking forward to more. Thanks.
Woo.
Thank you so much, Bailey. And thank you for that trivia. I didn't know you were going to do that, and that really made me realize which of you actually listened to the podcast, which you didn't. So I will be maybe quizzing you guys in future times to make sure you're listening, because that's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of spending hours and hours.
Hours and hours.
Especially her, because she's the one that has to edit through all my stuttering, and that's probably a lot, so thank you. And so this is, I haven't introduced you yet, so this is...
I'll introduce myself.
Okay, you introduce yourself. Okay.
Cool. Hey everyone, my name is Cynthia. I have to say, this is different from like a large Zoom meeting. I'm a little bit more nervous, you know? But I really appreciate you all coming. I am a San Francisco native, something about me, which means I'm better than all of you. Yeah. So one thing I want to point out, again, is that we have index cards on all the tables, and you know what? It's kind of hard to come up with ideas for podcasts. If you've ever tried, we would love if you could give us some input. Maybe if you have personal experience with stuttering, or if you know someone who stutters, we want to hear your ideas. They will likely end up in the podcast. So please fill them out. Woo. Love it if you do. So I helped Maya with this podcast. She came to me and asked me if I wanted to help her, and I said, yeah, sure. I know nothing about stuttering. That's like my tagline. I would say now we're about 4 episodes in. I still don't really know anything about stuttering, but one thing that I have really, really loved and enjoyed doing and being part of this podcast is really hearing the stories. Hearing Maya's story about her stutter and how it affected everyone around her. Hearing her experiences and how other people treated her. And, you know, I can't quite relate so much, but I think we've all felt, you know, where there should be pride and confidence, instead there was guilt and shame. I think we can all relate to that, right? So whether you have a stutter or not, you know, I hope this podcast helps you and connects, or you're able to connect with it. I tried to think of something like heartwarming to say. I couldn't really think of anything. But you know what? I think our podcast speaks for itself. Woo. So in place of a speech, you should listen to the podcast. Thanks.
Woo. Thank you, Cynthia. And I just wanted to end our program by saying a little bit about me, because this is my podcast, and Cynthia, you've been a great partner. But all the ideas are in here. Mostly.
Yeah.
Except you actually have a lot of good ideas.
Not really.
Too.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
We're literally gonna go through Reddit for one of our podcasts, so please give us your ideas.
Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about my journey and how I came to do this podcast. So I first started. Let me see, where should I start? Okay, I'll start when I was 6 years old, because that's when I first realized I had a stutter and that I was different, because I got teased a lot and I would always get called out and singled out in class, and so that really impacted my self-esteem, and I experienced a lot of pain, and so with that pain I tried really hard to start hiding my stutter. And I became really good at it. Not all people who stutter can hide it, but I was able to hide it. And so it was something that I've kept hidden for a long time. I've never really opened up about my stuttering to anyone, only a few people in my life. And then I started thinking about, because I really wanted to do a podcast. So actually the podcast idea came before the stuttering idea. I really wanted to just learn a new skill and create a podcast and really step out of my comfort zone. And at first, and what you'll learn in the podcast is that we were going to do, my first idea was to do a podcast on books. And because books is like my happy spot, you know, it's where I'm most comfortable. But then I started thinking about it more, and Kyle actually was like, why don't you just do it on Stuttering? And as soon as he said that, it all clicked, and that's really when I started learning about stuttering, engaging in the stuttering community worldwide, and just becoming more and more obsessed with just like being in the community with stuttering. And so that's when the podcast happened, and I wouldn't be able to do it without Cynthia, because she's been such a great creative partner, and she and there are actually a few podcasts out there on stuttering, but what sets us apart is we're two women, and like Nina said, we're in the minority, and what other stuttering podcasts don't have is that outsider perspective to really follow along on the journey, because a lot of the times it can be like preaching to the choir. But what I want to do with this podcast is to really educate and really push the narrative more than it's ever been done. So that's the goal of this podcast, and I'm so excited that I'm almost done talking. But I'm really happy to see like everyone here. Like, I can't believe you all came. That means the world, and to see all my friends here and new friends, and it just means a lot, and I really hope you guys listen. And the last thing I want to say again, because as I said before, I'm putting all my own money into this project, so before you leave tonight, I would really appreciate if you can buy merch, because that's how we make sure that this podcast is sustainable, and because I'm going to be starting a new job soon next week, and I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to be able to do this full time, unfortunately, anymore. So so having that extra support will really go a long way, and so please do that. And am I missing anything? No. Oh wait, I am missing something. Okay, so our artwork isn't, I don't know what's going on the TV right now, but our artwork, give your hand a round of applause if you love our artwork.
Woo.
So, Mara Ezekiel is the artist that did our artwork, and Noah helped with the design. She's a graphic designer. Noah, did you want to wave?
Yeah, Noah.
She's also my sister, so she's awesome. And then I also want to thank my fiance Kyle for being such a I feel like dating with a stutter is really hard, if you can imagine. And Kyle, like the first time I met him, I bonded with him because I found out that he used to have a stutter as a child, so that really helped in him understanding me and not just seeing me because of my stutter. And so I think that went a long way. And obviously there's a bunch of other good qualities about it. that was a step. And yeah, I am very happy that you're in my life.
Aww.
All that cheesy stuff. So anyway, I'm going to end, so you can end the Facebook Live because I'm going to have to put on a clip. So bye Facebook Live.
Yeah, Facebook.
There's 3 people watching, guys.
Hey, say goodbye. Hey! Hey! Look at all these people. Nice. Cool. All right.
So